sacrifice to idols. You can read 1 Corinthians 8 and 1 Corinthians 10, I believe, and they give you more information on that. But that's what it's talking about. When it's talking about no meat is unclean of itself, that is letting you see that no meat is an idol of itself. Somebody have to make it an idol about sending it up as worship to a god. So in the New Testament, when it's talking about those things that are unclean like that, it's talking about meat that was sacrificed to idols that made it unclean. Okay, let's go to Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16. Let's look at that. Ooh, I gotta hurry up. Colossians 2 and 16 and Ezekiel 45 and 16. Let's look what it says. A lot of people use this when it comes to Sabbath days and feast days. So let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in the respect of a holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. Now, a lot of people look at this and just read it verbatim, and they don't go back into the Torah to see what Paul is talking about. And I'm going to show you after this slide how much Paul quoted the Torah. Now, let's look at this. Now, if you don't go back and look and to see what this scripture is talking about, you'll think, well, can't nobody judge me and my meat and what I eat and what I drink, and the respect of an holy day, a new moon, or the Sabbath days, which are all shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. So let's see. You have to go into the Old Testament to see what it's talking about. Verse 16 of Ezekiel 45, and it give you what Paul was giving reference to, because when the believers came into the covenant of the Messiah, sacrificing was done away with. But the Yahudim would go around just like they followed the Messiah around to try to condemn things that they was doing, so he would lose the influence of the people. And they would do the same thing. They would be like, well, why y'all ain't sacrificing? Y'all honoring this feast day, y'all doing this, and y'all honoring the Sabbath, but y'all know it was specific things we supposed to be doing, and your followers is not doing that. So why ain't y'all sacrificing? Let's go and see what they was getting at, that Paul had to write a letter to his people and say, let nobody judge you. Can't nobody bring judgment on you in meat offerings, drink offerings, holy days, new moons, and the Sabbath day. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get this off my screen. Ezekiel 45 and 16. All the people of the land shall give this oblation for the prince in Israel, or for the priest in Israel. This is the oblations that they should give on these days. And it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings, meat offerings, drink offerings, and feast, and in new moons, and in Sabbath days, and all the solemnities of the house of Israel. He shall prepare a sin offering, a meat offering, a burnt offering, and peace offerings to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. So we see right here, it's the same terminology. Let's read verse 17. It shall be the prince or the priest's part to give what? To give burnt offerings, to give meat offerings, and drink offerings. Now, when y'all going to give this? When are y'all going to get the same thing? Look at this. It's the same thing. The same thing. Verse 16. Let nobody judge you in meat offerings, drink, in respect of a holy day. But at verse 17 here, it says, it shall be the priest's part to give burnt offerings, meat offerings, and drink offerings. When you going to give them? You're going to give these offerings in the feast, which is up there, verse 16, to say you look up and say holy day, which is the feast day. You're going to get these offerings in the new moon. You look up at verse 16, it says, or the new moon. Where else you going to give? And the Sabbaths. And you look back up at verse 15, and Sabbath days. So it's showing you they was talking about let no man judge you in meat offerings, drink offerings. Because why? Or in holy days or new moons and Sabbath days, because there was supposed to be what? Sacrificing, giving offerings during these times. And Paul is telling them, no, you don't got to worry about that, because we got the understanding of the Mashiach was the final sacrifice. So we don't have to give meat offerings, drink offerings in feast days. Let's look at Numbers 28 to give more of an understanding of that also too. And that'll kind of put the nail in the coffin. Numbers 28 and 3. And thou shalt say unto them, this is the offering made by fire, which shall offer unto the Lord. 2 lambs of the first year without spot day by day for a continual burnt offering. Let's drop down to verse 7. And the drink offerings thereof shall be the fourth part of the hen of 1 lamb. In the holy place shall thou cause strong wine to be poured unto the Lord for a drink. And the other lamb shall offer at the evening as the meat offering, in the morning as the drink offering thereof. Thou shalt offer it as a sacrifice made by fire, and a sweet savor unto the Lord. And on the Sabbath day, 2 lambs for the first year without spot, and 2 tenths of flour or meat offering in mingled oil. And this is the burnt offering on every Sabbath, besides your continual burnt offerings and your drink offerings in the beginnings of your month. So you can see here, on every day, on the Sabbath days, they had to bring offerings, drink offerings, burnt offerings, meat offerings on those days. In the feast days, they had to bring offerings. So what is Paul saying? Oh, Lord, come on, get right. Paul is saying, let therefore no man judge you in meat offerings and drink offerings in respect of a holy day on the new moon or the Sabbath days, because now all those offerings was a shadow of things to come, but the body, which is the body that was prepared for me, is of Christ. So all the offerings, which the princess part was the burnt offerings, the meat offerings, the drink offerings, that was done in feast days, that was done on new moons, that was done in the Sabbath, all those things was a shadow of things to come. But the body that was offered was Christ. So nobody can judge you, therefore, while you're not making oblations or sacrifices during that time. I hope that's clear. Okay? Now let's go to 1 Timothy 4, and I